Hello, No Holds Barred Witchcraft podcast fans. Do you remember Mystic Meg? I don't know. Chris, do you remember Mystic Meg? Off of the telly?
She's not gone.
What, is she
They
still...
still have her
Does
on
she...
in the
Does
sun.
she still do the lottery?
No, she's obviously not her real person, but her face is still used in the news.
Well, yeah, that's because they own the rights to it. Which newspaper is it? Is it The Sun or something like that?
The sun.
Right. Yeah, so The Sun obviously own the rights to Mystic Meg, so they can stick her face in it. But she doesn't actually do the column, the horoscopes
Doesn't
and
do
that.
the lottery anymore, no.
No. Is she still even alive? I might have to Google that.
I don't know, she might be dead.
Do you know, she looks a lot,
If
she
not,
looks an
she's like
awful
hundreds a
lot.
year old.
She looks a lot like my auntie.
Oh dear.
No, she honestly does. If you had a picture of my auntie and you looked at Mystic Meg and her, you'd think that they were the same person. And, you know the Grand High Witch from Roald Dahl's The Witches? They all look kind of similar.
Yeah.
Is Mystic Meg still alive? Look, I don't even need to fill it out. Other people have Googled that.
Of course they have. What I'm failing to see is what the relevance is, Liam.
She's 78. Well, I'm going to fill that.
Okay.
I'm going to fill you in on that, right? Okay. So, these people, you've got to listen up because this is relevant to Witch Wars 3 as well, okay? So, I
Okay.
was at the coffee shop today with Mr. Railroad,
Yeah.
Lady
Yeah.
Poison, and the Dark Pastor. And
Okay.
the Dark Pastor, you know, the person that does the From Christianity to Witchcraft blog on Facebook?
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah.
I just didn't realise that's what you call
Well,
her.
we have
But
to
carry
call
on.
her that now because obviously we can't let people know what her real name is because she might get lynched.
Of course.
So we were there, and the Dark Pastor, I think it was, fiddling around with one of these free tarot readings, you know, like the little adverts that pop up on Facebook.
Yeah.
And she was talking about it, and she said she filled one out, and it went to some website with a Christian and Mary. I'm going to see if I can Google it now. Psychic readings, where you can fill out a form, and basically they'll give you a tarot reading. Yeah.
Okay.
It's called telepathicmediumcom, right? So she
Okay.
she did this, and then she clicked on the, because it says select your wish. She clicked on love, so you can pick money, love, luck, work. She picked love, and then she filled out the details, which is basically your name, age, you know, your birth date and that, and then you just click request. And then they'll email you a confirmation link, so you just click that, and then they email you your numerology number. And then what happens is they say, obviously, we will now go away and we will do a tarot reading. Both me, Mary, and my friend, husband, I don't know what he is, con artist, business partner, Christian. They'll go away and do the reading. So it precisely, and I mean precisely, exactly 2 hours later after you click the link, another thing will be emailed with a full reading. And it comes up with various details and that kind of thing. You can save it as a PDF. And she had a Wheel of the Year card, and then at the bottom it's basically trying to sell you something. So we were talking about this, and we thought I might be interested in if we all did one to see what the difference would be. So both me and Lady Poison did it as well today, and exactly the same thing happened. And there's a couple of things that I think we need to pick up on. One is, I think that clearly we're not delivering a good enough service, because if Mary and Christian, at no matter what time, it only takes them 2 hours to do that full tarot reading, no matter how many people request one. This is some serious work they're doing. So they're very, very efficient people. The second one is that when all the three of us got our tarot readings back, They were all exactly the same. The same card, the same reading. The only thing that had changed happened to be the fact that Christian and Mary noticed that we all have different sun signs. And I'm thinking that was based on our birthday that we put in, the day, month, and year, right? So basically, we were given all the same reading. And I know this is free, but it did get us thinking, I wonder if this is a scam, right?
Did you all do love?
We all did love, but of course we're all got different names and different genders and different birth years and
Yeah.
that. And when they gave us back our numerology, we all had different numerology numbers. However, the tarot
Okay.
reading that was the same. And it basically said, look, pay, click here and pay and you'll get more information. But I'm thinking, well, do we all have to pay that money and click? Or, because the first reading was exactly the same, can just one of them pay? Just one of us pay and then maybe it will be the same with all of them? Because I've not heard of this before in all of my years of doing professional witchcraft and that psychic work. I've not heard of being able to share the cost of a reading. So, normally it's the case of a client might pay you to do a tarot reading for them. But I'm wondering if what you can do, or what this Christian and Mary do, is they just seem to just do maybe one reading for all of the people that are sat round the table anonymously at the time. Or whether, much like old Mystic Meg from the telly box, it's an utter scam. What do you think, being an impartial person that has not undergone the readings and that? What's your gut reaction to this?
My gut reaction would be I'm assuming it's an algorithm,
Yes, I was thinking that.
and basically that there is a tarot reading for love, for money, for husband, whatever it was you asked for, whatever the options were, and the rest it's capable of figuring out based on the numbers that you put in. It can break that down into your numerology, or it can realize that that's your sun sign. But actually, it's not sophisticated enough to actually give you a big enough variation of tarot reading. So I'm assuming that what you could test out further to be sure is to see whether or not if you click lifestyle or job instead of love, if you get exactly the same
We
reading
might have to
or
try
if it's
that.
different.
We might have to try that. Because there are a couple of other things that I am also thinking this is a scam. So, basically, we were all given, it says, we need to make a note in your diary in red and don't forget it. It says Lady Poison here because I'm looking at Lady Poisons, and on my one it just says Liam. It says make a note of this date, and it's the 12th of July 2021. Now the 12th of July 2021 happens to be, let's see, where is it? 1, 2, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, I think, something like that. Time. And we thought, well, this is a little bit strange because the person that filled it out yesterday happened to get the 11th of July as their special day. They got to watch out for. And all of the people that completed it the day after that person completed it all got the 12th of July as their special day. So I'm wondering how this works also, because this is clearly an algorithm and this is a special day, marks the end of a specific one life cycle and beginning a new one. Now, do Christian and Mary and their magical computer have the power to completely shift the life cycle of someone based on when they fill this out? Or is it just coincidence that they're using some sort of a magic to draw in the right person at exactly the right time, the exact same time in terms of days before their life cycle change to fill out this form? Because this is also something that's something that I'm wondering, Chris?
No, I don't think that's the
Because
case.
I'm
I think
thinking that
it's an
also
algorithm that says
that.
make their special day 6 weeks from now.
So you think that's also evidence on the scam pile? So in the evidence folder
That's
in the dossier I'm constructing, that's in the scam part as well, is it?
I would put that in the scam pile too. I think the whole thing needs to go in the scam pile, but that's just a case of some of it is able to do because there are not fixed, but there are generalized readings that are done for all numerology. Um, because let's face it, you only have to do what is it, 12 numbers,
Yeah.
something like that.
But me and Lady Poison and the Dark Pastor, we all had different numerology numbers, but the reading was all the same.
Oh,
You
okay.
see,
Was what the reading for the number was the
the
same,
reading for
or
the
it told you
numbers
different
were
numbers?
very, very similar. They just changed the strengths and weaknesses. But also, I'm thinking, in the defense of Mary and Christian, given that we kind of all did ours at the same time, when we were reading through the strengths and weaknesses, they did get them kind of right, but they assigned them to the wrong person. So, for example,
Okay.
Lady Poison was considered to be a diplomat and diplomatic. Well, that's not very Lady Poison, but you could consider Mr. Railroad to be quite diplomatic. So I'm wondering that because
Yeah.
they were biting off more than they can chew and doing multiple readings at the same time, maybe it all got jumbled and they assigned us all the wrong ones. I'm being nice to them. Personally, I think that it's a
Why are
scam.
you why are you being nice to the computer? Why are you being nice to the
But it's not
computer?
computer, it's Christian and Mary. Do you not think that they're...
They're, they're not even real people, let's face it. You know they're
But
not.
I've got a picture of Mary here.
I, I've got a picture of Mystic Meg. Like you said, she's now 78.
Right. Because this does get a whole lot worse, Chris. Okay.
Okay, why is
So
that?
another thing that is
Out
apparently...
of curiosity, how much is their follow up?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to go on that. I'd have to look. I will
Oh,
have a little
okay.
look. But what I didn't understand until I read at the bottom was that both me and Christian and Mary have, to quote, a beautiful new friendship that unites us. Now, also Lady Poison and the Dark Pastor also have this on theirs, that they've got a new beautiful friendship with Christian and Mary, and I'm wondering whether this is why also the super special gift that they've sent me, they've also sent to Lady Poison and the Dark Pastor, because it says, to mark the beautiful new friendship that unites us, we'd like to offer you something as a gift. It's called the Universal Shield of Protection, and it's a powerful ancestral pentacle of first aid. Now, can you remember you bought me that pocket watch? You remember buying that?
Yeah.
It's one of those with a pentagram on it, and it comes from
Okay.
AliExpress. So I'm wondering
Okay.
whether they've just, as scam artists, bought this from AliExpress in bulk, or whether, because it does say that it's a powerful ancestral pentacle, from their lineage clearly of psychic witchcraft and all the like, whether these terrible Chinese people that run AliExpress have stolen their sacred ancestral universal shield of protection and are now mass producing it and selling it in the AliExpress wholesale.
Maybe.
I'm wondering if it's really actually the fact that they are scammers and they've bought a bunch of these and are selling them at an inflated value. What does worry me a little bit is that it's got a picture of the Universal Shield of Protection and Mary's holding it, and then it says to stare at it for 15 seconds. Its powers are
Oh.
particularly intense, and its strong magnetic radiation will provide temporary protection about you or around you. Now, we've talked about
Is that before it steals a soul?
well, we've talked about sigil magic before, haven't we? And how it could be dangerous to be going on the internet and someone say, here's a sigil for healing. And the person that made the sigil hasn't actually made that for healing. They've made it for quite the opposite. Or maybe stealing another magical practitioner's energy or something like that. I mean, do you think Mary and Christian have really made a universal shield of protection? Or do you think they're out using some next level sigil magic here to, I don't know, what is this? As I'm staring at it now, I'm getting the sense that I need to click the buy button at the bottom of the page. And I'm wondering whether this universal shield of protection, this picture I'm supposed to be sharing it, I'm wondering whether it is, in fact, not a universal shield of protection, and it's a spell that's supposed to be affecting me to make me hit the buy button.
Wait a cotton picking moment here. Did you just say a super witch like yourself is falling under the spell of some Chinese sigil maker?
Well, Christian and Mary aren't Chinese in their pictures. However, once I trace the IP address... No, I'm joking. I wouldn't do such a thing. And admit it publicly. Once I look at this, I do get the slight impression that there is some sort of charge to it. However, it doesn't compute with me to be universal shield of protection personally. I'm not sensing that.
Well, that's
I'm sensing something else.
That's if Lady Poison hasn't already traced the IP address and attached some kind of new egregore of hers to it in order to charge it up ready for eating something.
Maybe. But I did fill mine out before Lady Poison filled hers out. So unless she's using some of that temporal magic to affect back in time, then I'm wondering whether it's actually Mary and Christian who have actually set this up as some sort of a spell. It's a weak spell, but some sort of spell to try and tempt you into pushing the buy button that's right underneath it. Now, I'm going to say that I personally think this is a scam, based on the evidence and the general format that you've heard, Chris, because you haven't obviously gone through it yet. We'll see if we can get you to do it. What would you say? Does this sound like a scam to you as well?
It sounds like all of those kind of dodgy, spamming, astrology.com kind of shit that has a little bit of information on there that they can pretty much create once, and then what you're encouraged to do is then buy further services, which again are probably done by an algorithm also. But the idea is you get the free access. They give you the first 2 sun signs or something like that normally, and then they say for $100, please, we will give you a full natal chart and it's normally some kind of progression thing, isn't it? Don't they? We will give you your 7 yearly booster, Saturn return, something or other, kind of thing, where you're encouraged to then buy that.
It's called upselling.
But yeah,
I think they call it upselling, don't they?
They do, which is why I think we have to be careful calling it necessarily a scam, because somebody has done some work. But what they've probably done is copy and paste it from somebody else's scam, and then or bought the algorithm from somewhere else. Because let's face it, it's not a particularly sophisticated algorithm, is it? It's a database of answers that are pulled forward based on what people's date ranges are and what pronouns they decide to use. However, I am wondering how and where we are going with this, because I didn't realise we were doing hashtag McDonald's Psychics this week.
Well, I don't even know if this would count as a McDonald's Psychic, because McDonald's Psychic believe their own shtick normally, don't they? I'm wondering whether this is a true scam artist at play.
Oh, okay.
Because,
I'm thinking this is McDonald Psychics.
well, maybe, but with astrology.com, it will change the information that he gives you, and it will be a basic snapshot, but it does change it according to the stuff you
Okay, I
submit.
guess so.
With this, it doesn't. It doesn't, and it does go on and on and on about how they've basically been up all night looking at doing the tarot reading, and then Mary did a tarot reading and then got Christian to confirm and all that. Now that is bullshit, isn't it? That's not true.
I know she's written her name as Mary, but can we stop saying Mary? Because every time you say Mary, I jump straight to this student who at work that goes, Mary Gospel sucks cock. So can you really stop doing that? Because it's triggering me.
Is that at the cult?
That's what they
Is
call
that a
it,
bit
yeah.
of brainwashing that went wrong? Did
No,
the
it's
brainwashing
apparently
machine
from something like
backfire?
no, it's from it's from horrible histories or something. And obviously Mary Gospel is Mary Magdalene.
Okay, right. So this is what I'm
Anyway,
thinking, Chris, because you asked how this ties in. Now, obviously, we wouldn't want to go and tell people to go away and hex and curse these people, these scammers. But
no, that was Witch Wars
that was
1.
Witch Wars 1. However, when I was talking at the pub and talking at the coffee shop to various witches about this, they did say it might be quite amusing to add this to Witch Wars 3. Because Witch Wars 3, of course, is based around evocation. Now, I know in Witch Wars 3, that will be coming out very soon, when this podcast releases anyway, it will involve evocation and summoning spirits and the like. Now, I know there will be some people that want extra credit. Okay. And for the extra credit, I'm wondering if when you summon said spirit often might want you to do something. Particularly the spirit that I'm thinking of, that will be in Witch Wars 3, that might want to do something that's relevant to, I don't know. I wouldn't call it revenge, and I wouldn't call it baneful magic either, but giving scammers a taste of their own medicine, maybe. I'm just wondering for extra credit. Maybe if I submitted the picture and this universal shield of protection type thing, whether some of our people that are entering the Witch Wars 3 competition might want to get said spirit they're supposed to be working with for Witch Wars 3 and get it to, I don't know, send some poetic justice towards the scammers. Because I wouldn't want to go out and say to do that. I'm just saying this is an option, and we'll be making it as easy as possible by putting their pictures down and all their sigils and shit like that on the Witch Wars 3. So, stay tuned for Witch Wars 3, and obviously if you want some extra credit, definitely that's a good one, I think, because there's a lot of scammers out there, and we can probably go into a little bit more detail about that on the Patreon, naming names and the like. But
do we need to also caution against, though, the fact that actually those people might not be the people that are scamming? So avoid using the photograph itself.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that might be a good point. Because what you're saying is they might be actors or models.
They might be Chinese.
But if you use the Marian Christian, and now that thing's going in my head as well now, so thanks for that. If you use the Marian Christian name and the brand and the website domain and all that to get a lock, instead of just the pictures, I think you do make a good point, because we've talked about this before, where we've had people do dodgy scam comments underneath the YouTube videos on Thoth TV, haven't we?
Yeah.
And obviously they use
Yeah.
fake profiles, but you can link to the original person that's behind the fake profiles. It's no different than trying to trace back if you're using some sort of shield or mask. Obviously, if you're tracing back, you get to that fake persona, that fake mask, but there's someone wearing the mask, so you can trace it back further to get to the real person. It is possible. So I think maybe, given the outline of what we're trying to do for the extra credit assignment, maybe we do need to be a bit more specific about that. So we might have to think of a few things to add in, because I can see what you mean now, but I mean,
I'm just thinking that the idea of Witch Wars is to push beginners in new ways that they wouldn't do themselves because they don't have the situation, in order to allow that kind of progression to go, because they don't necessarily have someone that they want to hex, or the person that they want to hex is Orange Man bad, in which case they're not going to see the results of it, if that makes sense. So by giving you a target, or things like other things that we've done in the past, with the dossier, by giving you somewhere to go at, a target for you to actually aim at, allows you to kind of think, oh, okay, well, I know the target is safe to go at because Chris and Liam said, therefore I can give my all at it. I'm just conscious of the fact that when you've got something like this, where they use, like Mystic Meg, someone who has an actual identity, is that the person that is then throwing energy at that point, you've got to remember that could be a mask. So always be careful if you don't know the target personally, that obviously that you are guaranteeing that the person you are directing energy at, like with Raven Grimsby in Witch Wars 1, is that that may or may not be a real person. Sorry, carry on.
However, that's why I thought Witch Wars 3 might be an interesting one, because it does involve using and summoning spirits, ones that most people would consider to be demons as well. And the demon, or
you're not giving too much away.
I'm not giving. Well, this does come out when Witch Wars 3 comes out, so
Oh, okay. That's fair enough.
So they'll probably already be aware of this, or very soon they'll be aware of the finer details of this.
Okay.
But it's kind of summoning the demon and that, but then obviously you want to give it something to do. So I'm just saying, if you don't already have something, a little project you want the demon to deal with,
bless you,
then send them after some scammers. And if you don't have any scammers, then why not pick these bunch of clowns? Because we'll be making it easy by putting the details up. And what I'd hope for people to do is to go and make their own minds up about this. So fill out the details, get your own reading, read through the reading. If you do want to, you can do a couple of different names and dates and that, and see how much they differ. Because what we've also got to think about is we've got to think that we're actual magical practitioners and witches and the like. And this is the sort of shit that gives us a bad name. This is scams.
Yeah.
And there's a very big difference between the people we normally take the piss out of, that maybe not particularly great witches and that
hashtag McDonald's psychics,
that are giving it a go, they're just really shit, versus people that are going out of their way to con people. And this, to me, obviously you'll all make your own minds up, but this to me seems like the sort which they're going out of their way to actually specifically con people. So I'm just thinking, it might be a fun project. And I know that a lot of people for Witch Wars 2 were expecting us to get you to go and curse and hex people again. And I know there's a lot of bloodthirsty witches out there that like it when we get you to do that. But, I'm just saying, we can kind of, in some ways, we put this into Witch Wars 3. So stay tuned for the more details for that. We've pretty much reached the end of the regular edition of the podcast now, so we'll have to say goodbye to our regular listeners. And then there's one other thing I do want to talk about, and Chris, and that's OnlyFans in the Patreon. So, goodbye, regular listeners.